Hello.
Hey Jim, you right?
Yeah, I just got a message from Steve. I'm just trying to understand it. Yeah, so you're thinking of making a swap to Druid for DF. We have been talking and think it might be a good idea to get people on characters that they plan on using come DF. We would prefer people learn to raid with them before we hit the new raid. Had any thought into this? Yeah, Sam has already told me to take my Druid to the raid on Wednesday. The only thing is I haven't played it recently, not for 2-3 months, and so I'm probably very rusty. I was actually looking at video guides and POVs earlier today and was thinking of doing a normal / HC raid on my Druid either tonight or sometime tomorrow for the raid. My feeling, other things to note are that while my Druid is, has both max rank legendaries already for raiding. For raiding.
Be careful, champion.
It is missing some more niche ones, e.g. Verdant Infusion, and its overall item level is quite low at level 275, if I recall correctly. So it may not be advisable, there you go, advisable to heal only if you still want to take it. Naturally, I don't really want to be judged how good I am yet for these. So as long as there is an understanding. Okay, sorry about that.
Is that about you switching character?
I need
Yeah.
to target something.
What he's saying basically is he wants everybody playing the classes
That they want to play.
yeah, but before DF comes out.
Alright.
I guess it's just to get a sense of how the roster's going to fit together and whatnot. And I mean, that's fair. I probably would be saying the same thing in his position. It's just that, you know, they just need to bear in mind that, you know, I'm not exactly prepared for it right now. And then, you know, they've kind of sprung this on me in 24 hours. So I'm not going to be able to show up to the raid super geared or super knowledgeable about my class or anything. So as long as they accept that, then I have no issue with it. And hopefully with time I'll get a bit better.
Sure you will.
Well, I've got all of this week to figure it out. And then obviously next week pre-patch launches.
I do not have a target.
So yeah, and then from there I guess we just see how it goes. I mean, the good news for me is that Resto Druid has barely changed in terms of actual rotation and playstyle between Shadowlands and Dragonflight. It's probably one of the least changed healers out of all of them.
Yeah.
So if I learn to play in Shadowlands, then that will transfer over at least somewhat into Dragonflight. Dragonflight has a lot of like additional passive effects, but they don't really affect the rotation that much.
Good. Good.
Oh, I watched that Growl video you sent me, by the way. It's really good. It was interesting as well, because, like, he was basically saying that Druid is just, like, solid in M+, and has been for so long now, but more recently in Shadowlands, they've just been, like, good, but not the best, if you know what I mean. It's usually been Holy Paladin or Holy Priest more recently. Resto Shaman's been up there too. But they're, like, they've always been good. You know, they do okay damage and they heal a lot, so... what he's saying at the moment is that it's interesting how Resto Druid is one of the few classes that hasn't lost pretty much any borrowed power at all. So, like, you could point to at least a couple of spells that are quite important to other healers that they've all lost, whereas Druid has basically everything. Like, it's got Circle of Life and Death, it's got Adaptive Swarm, it's got Convoke, it's got Flourish, it's got everything. Like, literally everything. And it's got all its legendaries too, it's got Verdant Infusion, it's got Vision, it's got Celestial Spirits, and the Adaptive Swarm Lego, whatever that's called. Yeah, it's nuts. So, like, yeah. We'll see where that goes.
That's good.
Yep. I can hear you glazing over from here.
Means that you'll pick it up quickly, I think.
Think so? I mean, everyone tells me Resto Druid's really easy, but then the guide I watched today, which is also the guide I watched a few months back, was saying, like, it's one of the hardest. And I'm like, I wish people would make their mind up. I think if I had to put it in terms of difficulty, I would say it's harder than Resto Shaman. With Resto Shaman, you can kind of just sort of feel it out and react on the spot and sort of, you know, play around with it a bit. There's a bit of freedom there. Whereas Resto Druid's very strict in a way. It's not as bad as Disc Priest, where it's like, you have to ramp here, and if you miss any of your spells in your ramp, you're fucked, you know? And you don't do any healing. It's not like that. But, like, Resto Druid, you know, it does a lot of its healing in ramp windows. So if you fuck up your ramp window somehow, then it's more forgiving than Disc, but it will still, obviously, still have an impact.
I must get closer.
I'm sure you can.
What?
Pick it up.
That is locked.
That's a very weird way of putting it. This is Steve's response to my message. I would prefer for us to have people practice in the raid environment before we get to DF. At least you can highlight your weakness and work on it before expansion drops. If we need to, we just swap round for bosses that require it.
Yeah, I guess he's just saying. But perhaps when he says weak, well, it could have meant it in two ways. He could have meant it that it meant weakness in terms of your personal weakness and where you seem to be struggling with the class, or your weakness as a class, opposed to you as a player. Do you know what I mean?
I think he meant my personal weak. Do you mean my personal weakness, or the weakness of the class? No, actually, he means personal weakness because he says work on it. Like, if it was a class weakness, then that's, you know, I can't work on that.
Yeah. Yeah, probably right then.
Wow.
Oh yeah, well, he's just basically saying, well, I mean, that goes for everyone, really.
I know, but it's not something you really need to say to me. Like, I think I would hope he'd know by now that you don't need to pressure me to get better. I do that myself. I don't need extra pressure.
I don't think he meant much beyond that. I think you're really into it too much.
Okay. It's just when people talk about my weaknesses, then it just sounds a bit ominous, you know.
I don't think he meant of it. I think he was.
Well, the good news for me is that they are. Well, I wouldn't say they're short on healers, but they have 4 healers. So, like, my spot is relatively safe for that reason alone, because obviously if they drop me, then they're suddenly down to 3 healers, and that's a bit precarious for progression. And they seem to rate me as a player anyway, so.
I'm sure you'll be fine, Jim. I wouldn't be too concerned by that.
But I'm not going to get complacent, you know. Obviously, I have to work hard.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, both me and you like to play the game to play it well, or as well as we can play it. So, you know, I don't understand people who raid in these sorts of guilds and don't want to play the class well. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, I'm much the same. I mean, I feel like people play it just to have fun sometimes, and they don't really care if they do well. They just like playing the class the way that they play it, even if it's not like the optimal way, or they're not really thinking about it. It's like for some people to blow off steam. Oh, interesting. Steve's has written this. You'll be fine. We know how you play. We just want people to grab some XP while we can. Also, that letter.
That letter?
I will crush you to
right. Yeah.
embers.
It was good, wasn't it? That letter. Yeah, okay. Take a look in the attendance channel.
Hold on.
I require a target.
Flickers.
Where am I looking?
Go into Guild Discord in the attendance channel. So what happened was, you see that Trust in Jehovah gift that Al sent?
Sorry, when was this sent? Was this sent today?
No, 12th of December. 12th of October, sorry. So it's a few days ago now.
So
yeah. Yeah, so what it is like they're responding to Luke saying Sunday can't attend, and he said Bible studies, presumably it's a joke, right? But then we scroll down and it says Trust in Jehovah, and today I got that letter in the post. Or I say I got it, we all got it. It's addressed to the household, but it's a Jehovah's Witness letter, and it's pretty funny. Yeah, I'll go to the toilet while you read it.
I must get closer. I am out of range. Is there something you wish to discuss? Azeroth faces on your signal, champion. Learn from the past. Look to the future.
Down, stop, browse. Smell. Farewell, friend of the Grummels.
We have them on the run. Now is our chance to strike a definitive blow. Speak your mind. I do not have a target.
I never gave up hope.
It seems our fates are intertwined. I know not from where you hail, friend, but I cannot fault such a timely arrival. Outland. Were you expecting to defeat this entire army on your own, little brother? A bold move.
I'm back.
Hello.
I'm back. I'm Jim. Hi, Sam. I'm back.
Hi.
Hi. Right, well, I guess the top priority right now is learning to play my druid.
Yep.
Okay. Finally managed to sit down and do this after having procrastinated for most of the day.
Why would you procrastinate during the day?
Well, I had some other stuff to do anyway, because my mother, unfortunately, I found out today, has very badly hurt her back.
Yeah, you said that this morning.
Alright, so, well, no, I probably said it this afternoon. I wasn't awake in the morning.
Too far away.
So, my day started off with a phone call from the doctor, because I've probably told you all about this anyway.
Yeah.
And so I had to go and load the dishwasher for my mum, so that was one thing I had to do. And then I came back upstairs, and then my mother asked me to do something else for her, which involved ringing up a company and trying to book a servicing for our boiler. It needs to be serviced, it's well overdue, and winter is fast approaching. And so I tried to do that, and wasn't able to get through to them in the end. The other thing was, what else was there? There was just lots of odds and sods, really. Like, I've been doing stuff all day, I just haven't been able to sit down and actually focus on Druid. I was watching some, like, guides and POVs earlier on, but, like, yeah, I just haven't had as much time as I would have liked, I guess. What I'm getting at here. And then I went out shopping with my dad as well, and yeah, so it's all just like, yeah.
All right then.
Oh, my fucking mouse is broken again. Logitech. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm just gonna have my killer. So yeah, I've been meaning to do it all day. I just hadn't got around to it. Oh, I had to do my COVID survey and test as well. So yeah.
Well, there's still time, so it's all good.
Yeah. I ended up having to call them up and having a very long conversation with them explaining why it's very difficult for me to know whether I have long COVID or not. So, anyway, we'll see.
Have they said to other people are playing, other classes people playing yet?
Not like official. Well, I have an idea of what people are thinking about playing, but I'm not sure I know exactly what they're playing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that Gnome is deciding between Paladin, Monk, and Disc Priest, and apparently he's leaning toward Disc Priest, so we might actually have Disc Priest next season, which would be good. Especially if I'm making the switch to Druid, because we'll lose some DR. Aside from that, though, let's see what else. There was Sam. I don't know, but he said he's just gonna play the meta, whatever that means. But he wants something that's good in raid and dungeons. So that could be Paladin, it could be Druid, it could be some sort of Priest, but he doesn't like playing Disc, so it will be Holy Priest if it's good. I suspect those are probably the main ones. Apparently Holy Priest is slapping pretty hard in damage at the moment, so if that stays the same, then they might be viable for that reason alone. But yeah, I suspect... I mean, we may even end up with a double Paladin team, because Caleb's playing Paladin too.
Yeah.
So I think every healer in the guild is considering Paladin except me at the moment.
That's good.
I'm definitely like the only person who's talked about Shaman, so that's good in a way because I have that in my back pocket. But I also have, I mean, like I'm the only, apart from Sam, who's played Druid before, I'm really the only person who I'm aware of who's interested or even considering becoming a Druid, Resto Druid. So that's good. So we'll have like that situation. Either way, I'm probably going to be the only person playing that class from the sounds of it, unless Sam plays Druid as well. So if I had to guess, it's probably going to be something like Disc Priest, either 1 or 2 Paladins, me on Resto Druid, and then whatever the fuck Sam's playing, if it's not Paladin. Probably Priest or Druid, I would say. So we may end up with double Druid, we end up with double Paladin, or double Priest. Apart from double Druid, I think all of those are fine if they've doubled up. I don't think double Druid would work though, it's a bit overkill. I feel like, to be honest, like if I had to say what I think is going to be the meta next expansion, I'd pretty much say Disc Priest, 2 Paladins and a Druid. So actually it's pretty much in line with what I expect.
These Jarradin have been
it may be like Monk instead of Druid.
They have taken the fragments.
Or maybe if there's like a huge DR requirement in the raid, it might be Shaman instead of Druid. But if I'm understanding right, the raid is not looking good for Shaman right now. So I suspect they will be probably benched. Apart from maybe specific fights. So anyway.
Well, we'll see, won't we? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what the big boy healers have said in raids. I just seen a few indications. I mean, I've heard a few people say Resto Druid is really good. So I
I also
know
think Resto is going to get nerfed. So
now
it's already been nerfed by 10% already, and it's still very strong. So
yeah, it probably will receive some nerfs.
Yeah.
but I'm sure it'll still be playable. I doubt they'll nerf it so hard to the ground. It's kind of one of those classes that I think Blizzard quite likes. It's one of the few healers.
Well, you say that, but then, like, historically, druids have never actually been that good early on in expansions. They tend to get good later on. Like, you think about BFA, they weren't really that good until sort of Nyalofa, Eternal Palace time. And before then, they were not that good at all in sort of like Cahoon's raid. Oh dear.
If I were a jar, then I would not be in such a hurry to open that chamber.
I don't know about that. I suspect they will be good, but I'm not 100% sure whether they're going to be meta or not. But if they're not meta, I'm pretty certain Monk will be the alternative in the meta. Because one of them is going to slap. Like, I'm not sure which one yet, but it's going to be one of them. Because they're easily the best HPS healers right now.
Well, we'll wait and see, I guess. Guess it depends who gets tuned with what.
Yeah. I feel like Holy Priest might have an outside shout as well, potentially. But the good thing about Holy Priest is, like, Holy is disc and Holy roll into one, so you don't necessarily need to give that fourth spot to a priest, because you'll probably have one or two of them anyway.
Yeah.
So if you need that extra HPS, you can switch to this priest to Holy or whatever. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see where that goes, and yeah.
So no one's interested in playing Evoker healer then in your guild?
No, we've got 2 people who want to play DPS Evoker. Right. Although I suspect one of them might end up playing Warlock, but we'll see about it. Or maybe Shadow Priest. We'll see about that though.
Is that because Thingy is a bit kind of funny when it comes to playing Warlock? Like you play one spec and then...
The very
That's it!
Oh, what, Wallow?
Against us.
No, because... Okay, so the situation is... Our Warlock situation is a bit precarious because we've got Wallow, but he is, for various reasons, a bit annoying. And... yeah, they don't like how he behaves in raids a lot of the time. And they don't like the fact that he doesn't play Demo.
I mean, all threes, really.
Yeah, well...
where's my...
I think if you're going to main Warlock and do it in a guild of this caliber, you have to play all 3 specs.
Well,
like...
if you play a class that has 3 DPS specs, you need to know how to play all 3 DPS specs.
Yeah,
Hunter,
I agree.
Mage,
I mean, that's
Rogue.
why I would want, if I played Mage, I would learn all 3 of them. Even though Arcane doesn't get used an awful lot, there might be like one fight in a tier where it is good. So, you know. Anyway, so I think Mage players can get away with just Fire and Frost, and Warlock players can get away with just Destro and Demo. Like, normally Affliction and Arcane are a bit sort of like the probably the least useful specs, but even they can be very good. So it's good to have them anyway.
No,
yeah,
I mean, only of recently really has Demo. I would say Demo was the more niche one. It's only been recent that Demo's had a bit more playtime.
Don't forget though that a lot of the current design is making its way into Shadowlands, so I don't see, unless they like buff Affliction a lot or give it something really strong, I don't feel like it's going to be that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But what is good is that, potentially, is that we have Puggle. Now, I'm not sure, I think you have met Puggle once. He was the Warlock who was like the guy who was outbursting you.
Yeah. Not always, thank you very much.
No, the only guy who was coming close to you in burst, right? So, the good news about him is that he is hoping to play next tier. The bad news is the reason he hasn't been playing is because his work schedule is unreliable and he's like on a roster. So he works shifts. So like if he gets put on a shift, then he can't come to raid. So what they've said to me in private is that they want him in the team, but if he has another work-related issue again, they're just going to say to him, look, we're really sorry, we want you to play with us, but we can't have you in the regular roster because you're just too unreliable.
Yeah.
And in that case, we're then stuck with Wallow. There is talk of Wee going Warlock, but Wee is probably one of the players they want to get rid of.
Too far away.
And that leaves really only Shen, who is currently Rogue.
He plays Rogue quite well, doesn't he?
He plays Rogue very well, yeah. But he said that Auskablex, the opinionated one, is playing Rogue 2.
Yeah.
And Shen wants to move to some sort of ranged. And the two classes he's put forward, three classes he's put forward as potentials are Evoker, Warlock, and Shadow Priest. All of those potentially could be good. I think probably the guild will prefer a Warlock or a Shadow Priest because we're looking a bit light on both of those. And they're both like proven and we know they're going to be good. Whereas Evoker is a bit of a question mark at the moment. And what's worse is that our current Shadow Priest queue is switching off Shadow Priest to Evoker, or hoping to anyway. So that means we don't have a Shadow Priest anymore.
Unless they're really fucking popping off, I mean, there isn't much reason to take more than one Evoker. You want it for the buff.
Yeah. And compare that to Shadow Priest, where they have twins.
Yeah.
They basically do the damage they do in the chart plus their PI damage, which is nuts. It's huge, right?
Yeah.
So they're probably, in theory, one of the strongest DPS in the game, even if they're not tuned to be.
Yeah.
Just for that simple reason. So yeah, it would be nice to have one, but it's not looking like we might. I mean, that doesn't stop them from recruiting one. And I have said to them, like, you know, I think you guys need to recruit more than you are, because, like, they're sort of saying, well, we don't really want to replace people. We just want to drop 3 people from the roster. And I'm like, well, you know, recruiting people to replace someone is like dropping them from the roster and then bringing someone new in. It's not...
That's the same thing.
Exactly. It's the same end product, you know? So... I think what it is like some of the people I was suggesting we replace, they're sort of like a little bit part of the social atmosphere.
Yeah. I think that's the important thing that they have to recognise. Where do they want the guild to go? Do they want it to be not necessarily hardcore, but you know, quite raid focused and be like, right, you're not feeling, you know, you're not doing your part. As the raiding team, it's been fine for the past couple of tiers, but now we're kind of, you know, there are better people joining the guild, and do you know what I mean?
I've had a discussion with them about this. Well, with Sam, I should say.
We meet again, champion.
And what he told me was basically that they want the guild to be basically the atmosphere it is right now. So it's sort of focused in progression and during pulls, but like sort of chatty and jovial outside.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
And he said that in terms of ranks, they don't really have a specific rank in mind. They're just sort of comfortable with getting CE. But he was saying to me that his personal preference would be that the guild improved to somewhere around the 300, 200 world rank mark on 3 days.
That's quite a big leap.
It is, yeah. But like I said to him, you know, if you want that, you're going to have to be a bit stricter with the roster. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have a nice atmosphere as well.
No, of course not.
Guilds. You know, I mean, your previous guild was like this. You know, your previous guild was fairly, you know, jovial and relaxed at times. But they were also really good players who, you know, were expected to play well and turn up and not troll and learn mechanics. So,
absolutely.
And I've been in guilds like that too. Endeavor, for example. But like, and also Callista's guild, but like I think that yeah, the guild has a lot of potential. Like we have a very solid healing team, and our tanks are the tank issue is a bit of a problem at the moment because like Mao is very good, C is okay, and then outside of that we have a Ket who is currently DPSing, but he's like our third tank. But he is not main tank material. I think the officers have pretty much decided that now. So I think they're still looking for a decent tank. But like, it's just because there's a question mark over Mal, really. We're not sure if he can play.
Well, he does need to say soon, if I'm honest.
I know he wants it. Like I actually overheard a conversation between him and an officer saying he is basically saying like I really want to play. It's just the new job I have. I don't know if I'll be able to. Because he's gone from working at home to working in an office.
Yeah.
So, like, it's about time for him.
Sure. But, I mean...
But, like, obviously, it would be really great if he could.
Surely at this point he could work. He should have worked that one out, but now, like, this is what time I work in, roughly.
Look, I mean, that's not for me to say, so...
I know, but what
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it is,
No.
but
I'm
I
just
think
saying,
I
can't
think
comment on
it
that.
should be. I mean, they should be able to work. I mean, okay, Zach may not think what it seems because he's younger. He's only like 20. But the older people like Steve should be able to be like, okay, right, let's just this is not going to like what you're doing.
I think that Zach and Sam probably have a tighter grip on the guild than Steve does, to be honest. I get the impression that Steve is certainly recently not been around as much.
Well, I mean, I think
Zach is basically the guild master.
Zach doesn't have much like people experience, like world experience, when it comes to things. So he doesn't. Some of these things just don't come naturally to his head at this point. Like I remember when I was 20 years old and stuff like that. And when it comes to like organisation of people and stuff like that, I would have been able to have done it.
Trust you.
So
I mean,
I think that it does take someone who's a bit older to be like, okay, clearly, like he basically like, at the moment it sounds like Mal wants both. He wants, I want to raid and I want my job. And it's like, okay, but we can't stay around forever.
To eat, Sam, to be
yeah,
fair,
I know, but what I'm saying is that we can't just keep his seat warm. Until he's ready to decide. It's like, okay, well, it might be a little too late by then, and then we're all fucked over because we don't have a tank.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with any of this. But the issue is like, you're saying, oh, he may have figured it out by now. I don't know if he has or not. He may have already had this discussion with somebody.
Yeah.
In which case, this whole conversation is pointless.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just saying that that is as of like a week ago, maybe that was what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So,
I hope
say,
that they've got
I
all
hope
this.
that he can play, because although he can be a bit of a prick sometimes, he is an extremely good player, and overall I think he's a really good thing for the guild.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, in the small amount of things I've done with him, he seemed good.
Yeah. And I think he's one of those players where if you're bad at the game, he's not very friendly to you, but if you're good at the game, he's fine, He's nice. So he gets very easily wound up by bad players. And that's something he has to work on, but apparently he used to be a lot worse than he is now, so he has improved somewhat. So yeah.
What the fuck's going on? Oh, I see.
Huh.
I have been expecting you.
What is it?
Rafion's able to make the hard choices. The ones that no one else will. All for the greater good.
Setting Garrosh free started a war, but we needed that war to prepare for the Legion.
Come then. He does what needs to be done. Honor and glory didn't help defeat the Shah, or rid the world of mad dragons. Rathian.
Alright, I'm gonna play Druid. You wanna join me? On an ult maybe or something? Go on. Oh, it's Headless Horseman. Should do that for the mount actually. We'll do that quick. Do you wanna do that with me?
Yeah, I could do that, yeah. I already had the header swords mount, but I can run with you anyway.
Oh, okay.
Get the
You
magic.
don't have to.
Get the magic fucking broomstick.
Yes. Is that the mount? Is it? I thought it was like something else. Tell me when you're on.
That's weird.
What's that?
Classic mounts added to the shop on the Chinese realm. Why would they do that?
Classic mounts added to the shop on the Chinese realm. Was WoW out in vanilla in China? I'm not sure if it was.
No.
I wonder if that's like a way for them to get mounts they couldn't. When did WoW release in China? What are you doing?
I'm not good on now.
Oh. it released 2 years after. So yeah, I don't know. That's strange.
Look at, he released the Spectral Tiger as well. I don't know. It's just out of all the ones I'd want there, I'd want the Magic Rooster.
Sorry.
I said out of all the mounts there that they had, I just want the Magic Rooster.
The Magic Rooster.
Yeah,
yes.
Boo Boo had that one. And he looked great.
Is that like a TCG mount?
Yeah, they're all TCG mounts, these ones.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a regional thing. Man, Milkshake brings all the boys to the yard and they're like...
I don't know how much trade that they get from the Chinese community.
Oh, I imagine for a lot. Except the invite. Are you in a loading screen?
I am out of it now. My milkshake, my milkshake, my milkshake, my milkshake.
Oh, we can't. Cross faction. Fuck.
Oh.
You want to log on a whole character on
I don't have one. I sent all the ones I had over.
Alright, Rip. They've got to fix this. It's so annoying.
Why can't we sign the Headless Horseman?
It's because it's basically what they've done is like any group that isn't like one where somebody chooses you, so anything that's randomly allocated in a queue, you can't do cross faction. And the reasoning behind this, if I remember rightly, is basically because they were like, well, you know, if we did that, then it would ruin some people's class fantasy. It's like, no, sorry,